morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here is your detailed weather forecast update for Thursday, the 3rd of July 2025. Still a lot to get through today. The massive low-pressure system that's now split into about 3 or 4 low-pressure systems is moving away from the New South Wales coastline and taking the severe weather with it. There is still some more severe weather expected for southern and southeastern Australia throughout the course of next week, and also some severe thunderstorms moving into the southwest of WA this morning. But let's get stuck straight into our top story today, and that is going to be that low-pressure system moving away from the southeast of Australia. As you can see, overnight it has split up into about 3 or 4 very defined other low pressure systems, one of which is around the south moving into the Victoria-New South Wales border at this point in time, another one moving north offshore from Lord Howe Island, and another one still closer to New Zealand, about halfway between Lord Howe Island and Tasmania. So the low pressure systems are now really beginning to kind of make themselves apparent. You can see they're very defined on the satellite imagery this morning, those defined swirls, and they're even more defined if we were to pause the latest satellite imagery onto the latest frames, and you can see them really quite clearly into the middle of the Tasman Sea if this satellite imagery is willing to load for us this morning. It's funneling in a lot of rainfall over in New Zealand, definitely some severe weather ongoing over there in terms of rainfall, and also in terms of some pretty gusty winds associated with this low pressure system, but it's not our problem anymore over in Australia. There are still some strong wind gusts here and there, and we're expecting strong winds out of the south to continue across parts of the New South Wales coastline throughout the course of today. But in terms of showers and rainfall, it looks like it is all over at this point in time. Very good news indeed, and that was the beauty of this storm here coming a couple of days early, is that it will finish a couple of days early in New South Wales, now out of the woods, with a couple of days before the weekend for the weather to fine up. Rainfall has been extraordinary over the south coast and the Illawarra forecast districts. We've had peak rainfall accumulations around Jervis Bay, up to 350 millimetres from this storm so far. Peak rainfall accumulations outside of Appin, just outside of Wollongong, have been around 400 millimetres. So again, the forecast was bang on there, very good to see. But the rainfall has been absolutely extraordinary from this east coast line, and that's because of its movement over warm waters. It was able to evaporate a very significant amount of moisture and get that into rotating around on its southern side, and then that was just driven into the south coast of New South Wales, and that's what's resulted in this very, very heavy rainfall. The good news is, though, as I've mentioned, the showers are now moving away from the coastline, and they're expected to continue to draw further away from the coastline throughout the remainder of today, and rainfall is not expected across anywhere of the New South Wales coastline in any significant fashion. Maybe a little bit early tomorrow morning around the south coast, but no rainfall is expected from here on out till about Sunday. And you can see that actually Saturday expected to be a pretty fine day, maybe a few clouds moving into the Sydney area through the afternoon and evening. They might have a bit of drizzle with them. Sunday we'll see a return of rainfall and potentially a couple of thunderstorms here and there into the central parts of New South Wales. There could be a little bit of convective energy available there through Sunday morning and into early Sunday afternoon. But in terms of rainfall for the coastal regions, expected to remain minimal until Monday by the looks of things, when more rainfall might return in a little bit of heavier fashion into the south coast regions. But for now, it looks like the severe weather threat has passed, and we can just enjoy a couple of days of calmer conditions. I would still say it's way too dangerous to be going anywhere near the coast at this point in time, and we can see that if we have a look at webcam footage. So whilst the worst is definitely over and the weather is now really beginning to ease off, and whilst conditions might feel substantially calmer throughout the course of today, it still is quite a rough one out there on the water. The webcam footage doesn't really do it justice, but there certainly are some pretty big and powerful waves offshore right now. This is the webcam footage at Bondi Beach. If it does care to load in this morning, it doesn't look like it's going to do that for us, but I checked before the video update, and it still looks like we do have some relatively nasty seas and swells out there, so make sure you do stay away from those beaches, stay away from coastal locations, because those swells will take another 12 to 24 hours to properly die down after the rainfall and the winds do completely die down, and that seems to have happened at this point in time. The wind threat really minimal from about this point onwards. And that'll do it for our coverage on the New South Wales East Coast low situation. As quick as it formed is as quick as it's now dissipated and moved further out into the Tasman Sea, where it is no longer our problem. It is still a very significant storm, and if you're watching from New Zealand, first of all, hello. Second of all, make sure you are ready for a significant storm, damaging winds, heavy rainfall, but it'll be similar to what happened for New South Wales, but they're a lot more built for this type of stuff over in New Zealand. So there's going to be some pretty stock standard winter weather coming through, as opposed to what happened in Australia, where this was some pretty significant winter stuff that's nearly broken rainfall records in a few locations. Southeastern Australia, I'm not done with you though for this forecast update. We do have some more rainfall on the cards. In fact, a pretty healthy amount of rainfall coming through over the next 14 days, with 2 significant low pressure systems expected to move into the bite through Monday and Tuesday, and severe weather is expected for South Australia, parts of Victoria and the west coast of Tasmania. Let's break that down for you right now. So winds are going to be the main threat from these weather systems here. You can see remaining calm into the Great Australian Bight throughout the next couple of days. That low pressure system is situated offshore from Western Australia, keeping things calm at least until tomorrow tomorrow night and into Saturday, when we will see the return of this low pressure system activity. It's likely to actually hold itself quite slow moving offshore from South Australia's Kangaroo Island, and then moving into the Murray River release area around sort of Robe, or halfway between Adelaide down towards Robe. We could be seeing a weak low pressure system move into there through Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning. In terms of rainfall, not expecting anything too crazy, but 25 millimetres between Saturday and Sunday is a plausible thing to have on the forecast at this point in time. Rainfall isn't expected to be heavy though, like I just said, and then through Monday we're expecting a return to the severe weather. And what's going to happen here is a powerful cold front is expected to move through the southwest of WA through the weekend, get itself into the bite on Sunday night into Monday morning, and it's really going to be able to intensify there. We're expecting the low pressure centre itself to hang well south of South Australia, but it is going to be an absolute brute. Sustained winds of 100 kilometres an hour, wind gusts pushing 140 kilometres an hour. So you get the idea. This is a very strong system. It's a classic bite storm in July. Very, very violent weather expected, but wind gusts exceeding 90, pushing even up in towards the 100 or even 110 kilometre an hour mark, extending right up towards what the WA and South Australia coastlines between Esperance, right across towards Port Lincoln on the Eyre Peninsula. So some very strong winds can be expected to develop from Monday night into Tuesday morning. Now, the forecast here should be taken with a heavy pinch of salt. We have had this storm on the forecast for the last couple of days, but there have been some pretty big changes in the forecast, especially in terms of timing over the last few forecast runs that I've seen from the European forecast model, which I'm using right now. What that means is that there is still a little bit of uncertainty on when this storm is going to strike, and also potentially how strong it's going to be and what impacts there could be for South Australia, Tasmania and Victoria. It definitely does look likely that this is going to be quite a strong storm, especially in terms of true intensity well south of the Australian coastline, but it is worth mentioning at this point in time that there are still a few discrepancies, and some pretty significant discrepancies that need to be ironed out, and I imagine I'll have some definitive concrete answers for you by this weekend. Nonetheless though, severe weather definitely is expected through Monday night into Tuesday morning, easing temporarily through Tuesday evening, but returning Wednesday afternoon in the form of more damaging winds and rainfall coming through for South Australia as a secondary cold front comes through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That will definitely pack a punch, and sweeping up from the south, this is expected to be a southerly polar blast for South Australia and parts of Victoria as well. So expect strong winds, isolated pockets of heavy rainfall, storms, showers, the whole 9 miles. That definitely does look to be quite a strong storm, that's for sure, coming through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then a couple of days of the calmer weather, and then returning again later on into the forecast period around the 12th or the 13th of July. We're looking at some more rainfall coming through, calmer conditions after that, and then you guessed it, more cold front activity as we head through the middle of winter. Definitely looks like the bite is going to get a couple of weeks of some pretty violent weather. That definitely looks like something that's going to occur on the forecast modelling, and you can see that on the wind accumulation map showcasing the maximum sustained wind, or the maximum wind gust over the selected time period. So over the next 2 weeks, we're expecting some very strong winds into the Great Australian Bight from a couple of very strong storms. Like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is going to be that kind of pocket for that severe weather to really come through, with the worst coming through Monday night and then again Wednesday night. So you get that kind of 12-hour lull through Tuesday afternoon. Rainfall's looking healthy, as we touched on a couple of minutes ago, but in detail you can see falls up to 25 millimetres expected, extending north towards Ceduna, 30 millimetres around Streaky Bay, Elliston, Port Lincoln and the west coast of the Eyre Peninsula, looking at up towards 50 millimetres and potentially a little bit more than that as you head further south. Into the Spencer and the Vincent Gulfs, we're looking at rainfall accumulations between 25 to 50 millimetres along the adjacent coastlines. Adelaide looking at falls up to about 75 millimetres, especially into the Mount Lofty ranges, and falls again between 25 to 75 millimetres expected along the southeast coast of South Australia. Falls between 25 to 50 millimetres expected across the southwest coast of Victoria, and falls between 10 to 25 millimetres expected across the western agricultural regions of Victoria. Falls between 25 to 50 millimetres expected through the Gippsland and into the high country through Victoria as well. Tasmania will run away with the heaviest rainfall accumulations, as you'd expect in winter fronts like these. Falls up to 200 millimetres expected for the west coast. Again, that is stock standard stuff for this time of the year, but Tasmania, especially in the west coast, they've really fallen behind so far on their rainfall accumulations, and it's looking really dry across much of the west coast of Tasmania. In fact, quite a wide swathe of Tasmania in general looking very dry at this point in time, almost as dry, or comparatively speaking, as what South Australia was a couple of weeks ago. So the rainfall is desperately needed there, so 200 millimetres will be welcomed with very open arms, to say the least. Also, we do have some pretty significant rainfall deficiencies still around Victorian parts of South Australia. The Eyre Peninsula now starting to tidy itself up a little bit further. We do have a little bit of rainfall out there, which is good to see, but a little bit more follow-up rainfall would be very, very welcome indeed. And you can see drought monitoring estimates do place much of southeastern Australia to be out of the worst of the drought as we get out towards the middle parts of July, with the good rainfall that's going to be coming through there. So that is a bit of good news news to be reporting on, but again, these maps can be quite misleading, and they only take into account the last 3 or 4 months of rainfall, which across southeastern Australia has been close-ish to the average. It certainly hasn't been great, but we're not talking about a massive deficiency of close to 0 millimetres compared to what the average is, but it has been okay. The rainfall accumulations is what I'm trying to say. It's just that stuff before it where the rains through summer for much of South Australia completely failed, and that's really put them on the back foot for this agricultural season, and then the rains of last winter season as well were pretty small as well. Let's head over into the southwest of Western Australia. We're waking up to severe thunderstorm warnings left, right and centre. We've had some really, really healthy rainfall accumulations into the southwest of Western Australia, and I apologise yesterday for not going over these in great detail because I saw it coming with the sea temperatures offshore from Western Australia. We're just really tied up with that storm over in New South Wales, so I do apologise for that. And you can check out the Facebook page for future updates on this weather system, but really packing a punch. In fact, many locations around Ludlow outside of Busselton have picked up 130 millimetres overnight, making it their wettest July night on record. Very significant rainfall accumulations also still ongoing, and it's just from these very slow-moving thunderstorms that have been piling through into the southwest of Western Australia, bearing heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, and some damaging wind gusts here and there as well. I'd love to get a 12-hour radar loop to work, but it doesn't look like Windy's going to allow that for me today. But in short, we've had some very healthy rainfall accumulations, and it has really helped some of the agricultural regions into the southwest of Western Australia as well. The rainfall has been very, very welcome indeed. My gauge has only picked up 19 millimetres. I'm not that far out of Perth, but that does go to show that the rainfall has been pretty hit and miss, especially where places around Rockingham have picked up 50 millimetres, Mandra's picked up 70 millimetres or so the rainfall has been very hit and miss here and there. However, with more thunderstorms coming through into the next couple of hours, expecting a lot more places to receive this kind of hit rainfall, especially into the southern suburbs of Perth, it is looking like we're going to see plenty more rainfall into the next few hours there. The convective forecast model is really going to town over the next few hours as well, with a few more showers coming through, but they should clear by around lunchtime, and in fact rainfall is expected to ease off and clear out by this evening. A few showers still lingering here and there into the late afternoon and evening hours, but for the most part rainfall clearing, especially around the Perth metro area through this afternoon and this evening. And then into Friday, we're not expecting showers to be a problem across the southwest of Western Australia. A few showers here and there along the south coast, but again, rainfall has the majority of it has already fallen, and a few more heavy dumps are still expected here and there, especially with what's sweeping through right now into the southern suburbs of Perth. We've got another couple of hours of this heavy rainfall moving through, so make sure you do take care on the roads. Of course, it's wet for the school run and the morning rush, but at this point in time, it doesn't look like the rainfall is going to be causing any more problems across the southwest of Western Australia, especially through the Perth metro area. Certainly some significant flash flooding here and there across many locations around Busselton and Bunbury, but they've had some very extreme rainfall accumulations, and we're not expecting those to pile into the Perth area at this point in time. But a pretty significant cold front, that's for sure, certainly one that packs a punch, and I've found that to be kind of a trend over the last couple of years, not just this year, but the ones that aren't really hyped up across the southwest, they tend to be sleepers. They come in and they absolutely whack us, and this system here, very much a sleeper, was never tipped to be that strong or that significant in terms of rainfall. And to be honest, I never would have guessed that this system would dump 120 millimetres around Busselton. I would have said at maximum we were looking at about 50 or 75 millimetres of rainfall, but it definitely was a sleeper, and we've definitely had some very significant rainfall as a result of it. Very good to see across southwest Western Australia. There's more rainfall on the cards as well. We do have a little bit more coming through this weekend, and then into next week we've got about another 75 millimetres or so coming through for a wide swathe of southwestern Western Australia before it dries up into the middle parts of July. Rainfall accumulations are expected to be at their heaviest once again after a couple of days of dry weather from this afternoon through Friday, Saturday and into Sunday as I play this forecast run through, but we're expecting another weak cold front to approach the coast through Sunday the 6th of July onwards. That will collide with the coast through Sunday evening and into early Monday morning, just in time to start the working week off, or next working week off, with some wet weather. Monday will be wet, then the showers will clear through Monday night into early Tuesday morning. A few showers still persisting through Tuesday and Wednesday, another cold front coming through on the 11th and the 12th of July, and then following that a couple of days, in fact probably about a week or two of dry weather expected in towards mid-July, and even out towards early parts of late July we could be seeing some dry weather across the southwest of Western Australia. Generally though, what that means is following 2 weeks of dry weather, we've got plenty of energy building up across the southwest, which means thunderstorms, showers can be expected beyond that. It looks like it could be a wet end towards July, or even a wet start towards August at this point in time, but that's just my hunch going very long range at this point in time. On that note, though, that is going to have to do it for today's forecast update. I do hope you've enjoyed it, found it informative or helpful in any way, shape, or form. And if you have, then please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, plus about 3 or 4 others that have joined over the last couple of weeks, which I've completely forgotten to mention because I haven't checked the page. So I thank them for their support as well, and that's going to be the first thing to do after I make this video. So make sure you do stick around for tomorrow's forecast update to see your name if you have recently joined the channel. Even if you haven't, now's the perfect time to do it. So click the join button down below and select channel sponsor. The support lately has been very much appreciated, but I will catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.